Let's say you were living in my house. I had, let's say, 4 bedroom house, right? And I asked you,
Yeah.
don't go into the master bedroom. The
Yeah.
day you go there, I'll throw you out of the house. Yeah? All right. Let's say you stay there for 6 months, everything is fine, but one day by mistake or whatever happened, somehow you ended up there and it wasn't a good thing, whatever it was. Let's say,
Sorry to cut, but this is the verse, by the way. It's in
yeah.
chapter 7, verse 19, about.
And you, Adam, inhabit the garden, and you and your wife, and eat whatever you wish, but do not approach this tree, lest you become sinners. Okay. Now I want to see what the
Verse
Arabic.
certain.
I'm gonna have to check the Arabic on that because it
Okay.
says sinner. What is the Arabic word for sinners?
Okay, I've got an Arabic Quran,
Yeah,
so I'll
because
check.
I'm gonna need an Arabic translation because that's very. Or is it wrongdoer? Is the Arabic wrongdoer? Where is Firas, man? When you need him.
I think it's like Zalim,
Zalim. Zalim is
yeah,
different, man. Come on, Zalim.
yeah, Zalimin,
Zalimin.
the
Okay,
wrongdoers. Yeah,
wrongdoer. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So in Urdu as well, we
Can you
have
ask him to leave,
Zulam
please?
as well.
Can you please ask him not to interrupt?
Okay. Siraj, uh, Siraj, we just finished off the conversation. We'll be finished in about 5 minutes. So. Uh,
Do that somewhere else.
do you want to conclude and we'll speak next time?
Yeah,
Another time, yeah.
I'm just getting to the end of the point.
Okay.
Is that so? If I kick you out of my house for doing something that I asked you
Yeah.
not to do, and you come back and say I'm very sorry, but I've already given you the sentence of kicking you out. For me to say, okay, I will readmit you into the house, that means I've forgiven you. But was he readmitted into heaven? No.
Muslims do believe Adam did return to heaven, but he lived out his mortal life because he had a purpose. His
Okay,
purpose
okay. Let
was
me put it
for
another way.
future generations to
Okay, I
be
got it.
coming to the sun. Yeah.
Let me put it another way.
Yeah, yeah.
Would Adam have died in Jannah if he had not eaten the fruit?
He was created mortal, so
Wait,
he
wait,
would
wait.
have died. Yes,
No, no,
yes.
no.
Sorry.
Look, if he was
In my
created mortal,
understanding from the Quran,
do you
yeah.
have a verse saying he was created mortal?
So, like the verse I showed in chapter 7 about when Shaitan approaches
Yeah.
Adam,
Yeah.
and he says that if you eat from the tree, you'll become like an angel or become
You'll become
immortal.
immortal, right?
So that seems to imply that Shaitan even understood that Adam was created mortal or temporary, based
Ah,
upon the Quranic verse.
before on the, but then the verse also says that he was deceiving him.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So if you look,
true.
it would
Yeah.
be a very, very weird thing for you to quote Shaitan in the same verse where he's deceiving Adam to say, well, he was telling him he would live forever.
But that implies the understanding
Uh,
was that Adam was created mortal, and Adam desired to live forever,
desire to live forever.
which is why he ate from the forbidden tree. Um, but
Okay.
Shaitan
Okay,
deceived them.
so deceive them.
But it does seem to apply. The common
So
understanding
what
was
you're saying is that
he was created mortal.
Adam wanted to live forever, but Allah was preventing him from doing so, or rather, Allah was just not telling him that. I'm sorry, I'm not getting this right. It's very confusing because Allah is the one who told Adam, don't listen to Shaitan. Okay, so anything coming out of Shaitan, he's a liar and a deceiver, correct? Okay, so if he's deceiving you, then obviously he's telling you lies, right? Because you can't deceive somebody by telling them the truth. Yeah. So if he's the deceiver, then why couldn't he just deceive him into saying that you will live forever? Isn't that a deceit?
Adam, Shaitan tells him that if you eat from this tree,
You shall live forever.
you become like an angel or you'll be immortal.
No, but it says you will live forever, eternal. You become eternal.
Yeah,
It does use the word
immortal.
eternal. Immortal or eternal
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
same thing, right? Okay,
So
immortal.
the understanding, the common understanding was that he was created mortal, And also, God's purpose for Adam was that He created him to be a custodian, a caretaker
No, no, I
upon
understand.
the earth.
That's a
So,
different
to
story.
fulfill that purpose,
Right,
God
right.
placed him on earth.
So okay, let's
Um,
go there. Just because you mentioned this. So that means that Allah actually wanted Adam to eat the apple so he could fulfill the destiny.
well,
Because
God,
remember that
before
discussion between Moses and Adam.
So before Adam fulfills his destiny, God prepares him for life in this world by placing him in the garden, so as to educate him, to prepare him. So by Adam committing that slip or that error, Adam also learns a lesson that the Satan is an enemy to him, and also God taught him words of repentance. That whenever you slip or fall, then you should turn back to God in repentance, and God will forgive you just as He forgave Adam. So God did forgive Adam, but He placed him on the earth because his purpose was to be custodian. And then once
So,
that purpose
so
was
what I'm
fulfilled,
getting from
he
you,
went to eternal paradise.
okay, got
Yeah.
you, eternal paradise.
Or have an eternal relationship with God.
Right.
Yeah.
So is heaven eternal or is there death in heaven?
So heaven's eternal. Yeah.
Eternal.
Yeah.
So that means anything that's in the presence of God is eternal, right? Because we know that angels are in the presence of God.
Well, even people in hell, according to common understanding, will be eternally burning or will be
Okay, fine.
created
But the
eternal.
point goes
So
still.
everyone's created
So you're
eternal
not disagreeing.
to
You're
that
saying,
extent. But
yeah,
yeah,
I understand that. So what you're saying is that procreation and death and everything doesn't exist in this realm because angels don't die, angels don't procreate.
yeah.
Okay, if they're fallen angels, that's a different. You brought up that we already did that, so we don't have to go there. But if you're in the presence of God and you are there's no death because angels do not die and men cannot die because there is no death where there is the presence of God. Because unless he sentenced you to death and send you to,
Do you believe in eternal hellfire?
well, that's a whole different,
So there's no death in hell as well,
right.
and there's not like God's presence in hell as well. Like Islam. Okay?
That's right. So the point being, well, it's very simple
It's
that
more about relationship with God or being in the presence of God, being able to like see God and have His pleasure. These are blessings. But in terms of eternality, death is the gateway to eternal life, whether it's in punishment or in
right. Well,
paradise.
that's the main point: is that death is the consequence of Adam's action.
Death was already in existence because we believe in the dinosaurs, for example.
No, don't
They
go there.
came
No, no, no,
before
no.
and they died.
Oh,
And then
come
there's
on now.
then
No,
there's
no, we won't
plants
go to this. There
and there's
are
animals
dinosaurs in
and
the Quran.
they're not explicitly
Okay,
mentioned, but
no,
some have
no, I'm
interpreted.
not going to
But
discuss
anyway, yeah.
dinosaurs here, man. This is just getting way too weird. But
So do you believe dinosaurs came after Adam in your
forget
understanding?
about dinosaurs. I'm not talking about the dinosaurs because then we are just going off topic.
Okay.
Okay, let's just
It's
talk about.
relevant about death. When did death come? Because according to Paul, death came into the world after the fall. But Genesis doesn't say that.
It does
So
clearly
we
say, "The day you shall eat, you shall surely die."
you're
That
to
means that,
Adam.
and it also goes on to say that it will not only does he die, the whole creation starts dying. So we are living in a dying planet
Well,
because things are going bad.
if Adam ate food from the trees, and those plants would have died as well, suffered death.
No, 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 that's not the way. No, no, there is no death.
Okay.
So plants do not have that same. So are you saying plants and animal life is the same? Do plants have spirits?
So plants have life in them,
Yeah, but do they have spirit of God in them?
like a
Because you were
soul
created by
conscious.
the breath of Adam was created by the breath of God.
No, not to
Was a
my
tree
knowledge.
created by the breath of God?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So please don't go there because they're not the same as humans. That is why, and also like animals because they bleed and they feel and they do all that. So that's a sacrifice or sacrificial animal. So the main point that I was trying to make through all of this is that unless there is death, if there's a consequence of sin is death, you cannot have sacrifice because that's the whole thing because you guys are always like, well, Allah forgave him, he didn't have to have any sacrifice, he doesn't require sacrifice. The Bible on the, see, the thing is you're taking half the story from the Bible and then you're interjecting your exegesis and making that into Quran because you cannot say that, you know, that this is a consequence of sin, because if you say that then that means that our position is valid. But to invalidate it, you have to come up with the argument saying, well, he made a mistake because earlier you used the term mistake, and and that is such a weak argument. And I'm not saying you make weak arguments, but when I heard you say that, I was like, really? So something that can cost you the most precious thing in the whole universe, which is the presence of God and Jannah, losing that is called a mistake. I think that's the biggest sin a man can ever commit, especially when Allah said, do not listen to the Shaitan, he will take you out of Jannah. That means that you will be out of my presence. You and I will be cut off.
I mean, he was a child. He was learning and growing. So physically, maybe a man, but he's still learning and growing.
Now,
And
Naz, we're going to go into something else,
he
and I
wasn't a
think this can
robot.
get away.
But anyway, yeah.
No, I think he was created. How old was Adam when he was created?
I don't know.
You
yeah.
said the word child.
But
because
he was a man.
He was a man.
But his mind was kind of like
Yeah.
developing or growing. Yeah.
Well, that's something that you come up with, but is
Like
this in the Quran? Is this in the
he
Quran?
was innocent.
Innocent is different.
yeah.
Innocent has a different connotation. Innocent
And
doesn't
his
mean that.
attention
Look,
wasn't
they
to
were
be.
innocent because
Yeah.
Adam and Eve didn't know they were naked. Does the Quran has anything to say about that?
It says that they clothed themselves with clothes of righteousness.
Who clothed themselves with the clothes of righteousness?
So Adam, when they
Before the
become
fall?
aware, so when they become aware of
Uh-huh.
their nakedness,
Yeah.
they clothe themselves with clothes of righteousness.
I don't understand that at all. What does that mean?
Um,
First of all, how did they come to realize that they were naked?
so after the fall of
Very, 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 very problematic if you say that. Because if you say that that came after the fall, that means they were innocent. That means they did not know death. That's what it means because they did not know sex. Sex is the opposite of death because it's procreation, right?
yeah.
So that means that they were doing whatever they were doing without feeling any guilt
So God was
and standing
preparing them.
in front of each other without any guilt.
So they didn't know everything on day one, but they
Now
were
we are going into
learning.
very
They were
extensive exegesis
on a
of.
journey.
No, this would be something. No, you'd have to prove that he was going on a journey without just bringing that up like, oh, this was a journey. He didn't know. No, listen, because you made the point that he was innocent. And I agree with you 100% because he did not know that he was naked. And after he did the sin, that is even more telling. You and I are wearing clothes because he sinned. Because that opened his eyes. And now he knows good and evil. That's what it says in the Bible.
Yeah, it's
And
part
that
of the lesson. So part of him growing and learning.
is that the argument.
But God also forgives
So
as well.
God wanted him to learn this lesson.
Yeah, God is teaching him
So
and
then
preparing
Adam
him,
was correct when he told
as well
Moses
as his
that it was the
children.
plan of God, that he was just fulfilling the plan of God.
Well, that depends on that's not from the Quran, but
It's from the Hadith.
yeah, it's
Is
from
that a Sahih Hadith?
well, you have like different art levels or gradings of hadith.
Okay, where would you fit this
So
one?
with that hadith is problematic from the point of view. The Quran says to honor your parents,
Okay.
and not to like have a bad word, or to speak to them like in honorable terms, to that
Yeah.
effect. So Moses like speaking to Adam according to that hadith, like in a harsh way, doesn't seem like
But then,
respectable
wait
of
a
a
minute.
prophet. So
Hold
it
on.
has some
Wait a minute.
problems with it.
If
But,
you
yeah.
are a if you are a president and I'm a president, then I can talk to you with a as an equal, right?
Yeah, but Adam
I
is
mean,
also
even though you're
Moses'
older
father
than
as
I am,
well.
let's say
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
older than I am,
Yeah,
but you're a
yeah.
president of a country or a company, and I'm a president of a company or a country, I will talk to you as an equal. Because Moses is a very elevated prophet, right?
Yeah, of course,
So is
one
Adam.
of the
So they
major.
can have
Yeah.
this discussion.
So because Moses is an elevated prophet, he wouldn't be disrespectful to his father, who's
But Adam is
Adam.
not. Oh, so you're saying Adam is his father and he's disrespecting him? Therefore, this is not a
I
valid
mean, but
hadith?
both the Bible and the Quran say that you should honor your parents. Um, so I'm saying that the hadith may have some carnal truth in it, but there's some problems with the narration,
All right.
and also the hadith is like a single or
But
ahad
what
narration.
grade? You didn't tell me the grade.
So it's like probable.
Oh,
but it's
can you
not
give me the
like
Sahih or Hassan, or give me the right term for it?
I'm not a hadith scholar, but just based upon like
So
its
it's not a
content.
Sahih hadith
Uh, uh,
or a Hassan. Hassan would be even higher, but
um,
Sahih,
so,
it would it be graded as Sahih hadith?
so classifying something as sahih
Hmm.
doesn't mean it's like certain.
But it does mean that it has a right chain of narration, right?
So the chain of narrations can be correct, but you also judge hadith based upon its content and also
That's very
its text.
problematic because if the chain of narration is correct, that means the Sahih hadith is Sahih based on one side, but on the
Who
other
says
side,
that?
well, how do you grade? I mean,
So
how do
if
you,
you go
if it
to
also
Hajar
agrees with the
Asqalani,
Quran, huh?
if you got Hajar Asqalani, he's a
Yeah,
famous muhaddithin, like
yeah.
someone who studied hadith. He wrote a famous commentary to Bukhari. So he basically says that Sahih Hadith brings it up to the level of 50%, and then the other 50% is based upon the text or the content. So you also judge the Hadith based upon its
So
content,
the best
which
you
would
can get is
include
50%.
from the chain of narrators being Sahih.
Ah,
So that
okay,
will
now
bring
I'm
it up
getting
to
it.
50, and then the other 50 will be based upon the text or the content of the hadith
So,
that has been narrated.
so who would do the interpretation of that 50%, whether it is
Yeah.
according to the Quran or not? Who is in charge of that?
Yeah, so it will be like the fuqaha, scholars of jurisprudence, and also the mutakallimun, people who study creed and belief and doctrine.
Right, but where would they get their authority from?
So they have different principles. So some of the principles are like it has to agree with the Quran,
Because they don't
because
always agree with each other, do they?
so it's an academic, it's a scholarly
Yeah,
discourse.
so of course.
So like with everything, like scholars differ.
So the hadith can be very problematic in that sense.
So then just don't bring it up. Then let's
Ah,
just stick to something that we agree with. Yeah.
ah, I see what your point is. Okay, so don't bring out that Adam. I don't need to bring it up. I was just mentioning it by the way. If you just stick with the Quran, if I was Adam and I knew that whatever I'm doing is predestined, did Adam know that it was predestined?
It's not explicit in the Quran. It doesn't say. Yeah.
Mm,
But God is omniscient. He's all knowing.
yeah.
So God's.
Well, no, we're not talking about God. We're talking about Adam.
Yeah.
Was he aware?
So the Quran doesn't say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wasn't aware that God has planned this for him. So it's God's plan that he's fulfilling. Right. You see, this is a very
But
problematic thing
at the same
because.
time, Adam has free will. So we
So
also
how
believe
can you
in limit
now we got into this discussion of predestination and
predestination,
free
free
will,
will. Yeah.
and how do you bring these together?
So you have limited free will.
You have limited free will
God
according to the
knows your
Quran, right?
choices,
I'm
but
sure you're
yeah.
going to quote me a Quran verse saying you have limited free will.
So there's a verse in the Quran that says to the effect that God has shown you like the two paths, so the right path and the bad path. So you're judged based upon which path or which choice
You take,
you make. Yeah.
you make. That would be free will, I would say.
And even like there's verses in the Quran like whoever wants to believe, let them believe. Whoever wants to reject it, let them reject it. So that implies volition on the part of the person.
Okay, so if
Uh,
I have the free will to believe or disbelieve,
yeah.
then that means that where does predestination come in then?
So what do you understand by predestination?
I mean, I don't. There's so many hadiths that I want to quote because the
So in
predestination comes.
terms of predestination, as I understand it,
Yeah.
is nothing happens except without the permission or the tawfiq, or the ability
Yeah,
from
because
God.
like if you kill someone in battle, it's not you, it's Allah killing them, right? You're just the instrument doing the job, right?
So
Something to that
that's
effect.
like an extreme form of
Well, I know. I
predestination,
mean, I can give you another
which
one,
like
which is another extreme
so
thing, but it's very sexual, so I don't want
this
to
is
do
more
that.
like Calvinism,
Well, that's
or
right, but
Reform theology.
yeah, but we're
Um,
sticking with Islam at
but
this
in
point.
terms of like normative or mainstream view, is that like you can only perform an action by God giving you the ability, but you have the choice of how you choose to use that ability.
Yeah.
So
Then
I
did that?
can give you a
Did
knife.
okay?
I can sell
Got you.
you a
I
knife,
think I
but it's
got your
up to
point.
you how you choose to use the
Yes,
knife.
I think you're
Yeah.
right. But then that point, does that not apply to Adam?
Yes.
I'm very confused because if that applies to Adam, then the predestination of Allah wanting him to come to earth and have kids and die on earth would be nullified by his free will action. Was it a free will that he did this, or was it because of the predestination? I'm very confused because I understand your point is very clear on the other point where we have this. Okay, let's say that that's fine. But the problem is, did Adam have this choice, and did predestination have nothing to do? Whether you can say predestination had nothing to do with Adam losing his paradise, it
If
was his
yeah.
responsibility not to listen to shaitan and have him deceive him, and that's his action. He's responsible. Either that, or you can say, well, it wasn't really his fault because Allah had already predestined him to go to earth and to do this and that. These things I'm trying to figure out
Yeah,
how
yeah.
we can
So
bring these two
let's
together.
discuss it. Yeah. So Adam has agency, and he can only be judged
You're
if he had
using
agency.
terminology from the biblical arguments. This agency
Okay,
argument I've never heard from a Muslim,
I see.
but I think you because if you take it like
Anyway,
now you're talking like what do you call those the more
Mennonites.
no the ones that believe in predestinations, Calvinists.
Calvinists.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
now you're taking that kind of agency and all
I
that.
see.
I heard them say that.
But from what I understand about Calvinism, they don't believe in agency.
I see.
So
Okay,
they
yeah,
believe
but the
everything is
term comes from
ordained,
like
or
that discussion.
because
So
it's to do with the sovereignty of God,
yeah.
God being
All
in
right.
control
Go
and this
ahead.
and that. But
Explain
anyway,
what you. Go
but
ahead, please.
so for you to have agents, you can only be judged if you have agency. If you don't have
Can you
any,
define agency then?
so free will.
Free will is
Yeah,
agency. So
yeah.
that means you have. Okay, fine.
So you can only be judged if you have free will.
You have the ability to decide for
Yeah,
yourself.
but
Okay.
if you're just doing something that you've been programmed to do, then you cannot be judged because you're just simply following your code. So Adam had agency, and so Adam made a mistake, in my understanding.
So was it then not the
But
plan of
then
God for
God,
him to go to
out
earth?
of His mercy, taught Adam words of repentance, and Adam chooses to repent to God, and so God forgives Adam, and then He
If
puts
he
him on.
didn't forgive him, if
Yeah.
he didn't ask for mercy, what would have happened?
Yeah, so then Adam would have probably ended up in a bad state or in a bad place.
What do you
But
mean? Would he have not died on the spot?
yeah,
The
he would have died regardless of whether
okay,
he
so he
would
would
have
have said.
ate or not ate. Yeah, because this life is not meant to be forever. Uh,
This is very confusing, man. It
so
shouldn't
if
work
you
like
think
this.
of all the people like from the time of Jesus till now, this world cannot like contain everyone. So imagine all the people from the time of Adam till now. This world cannot contain all of the generations of Adam. So you need death for there to be in
But
the world. For the
this is this
yeah,
world, man.
yeah, yeah.
My whole argument is
So
about
that's
this
what I mean.
other realm
Whether you're
where
a
we don't
believer
die.
or
That is the whole thing.
non-believer,
That's my
we
whole
we all
argument.
have to die eventually. Whether you sin or you don't sin, you still have to die. Because this life is not
In
meant
this,
forever, including for
yes,
Adam
in
and
this
Eve.
world you
Yeah,
have to die. That's right.
including Adam and Eve.
But they weren't in this world. They were in Jannah.
So Garden of Eden, according to Muslim interpreters, Quranic commentators, was on earth.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Naz,
I'm
you're on
surprised you
camera.
haven't heard this before. I'm
I have
surprised.
heard this, and it's a disputed thing where some think that it was on earth and some think it was in heaven.
So
Because,
in the Tafsir literature, there's many commentators that believe it was on earth,
but there are many
and they're
commentators who
based
don't
in.
believe that.
I don't know which many commentators that don't. If you know, then you can mention them. But otherwise, because they say linguistically, the
Right.
word Jannah
Mm.
also means garden.
Yeah.
So they say the
It's called
garden.
Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
So, was there presence of God in the Garden of Eden?
Yes.
Okay. Is there presence of God in this garden, in this earth right now? Not in the spiritual sense, but does God come and visit people in this earth? According to Islam, he doesn't come down to earth, right?
No,
He
no,
cannot enter creation, can
and
he?
also in the Garden of Eden, and not in that sense as well.
Wait a minute.
Like
How did God communicate with Adam then?
through revelation.
This is a whole different topic. Okay. So, is there a reference for that Allah spoke to Adam through revelation?
So there is a verse in the Quran to the effect how God communicates to man.
Well,
I
not to
just
Adam.
don't want to
No,
misquote.
okay. Well, man,
It's a general verse that can be applied,
that's
but
right.
yeah,
But
anyway, yeah.
you and I are men. We are not Adam. Adam is in a different realm. He's in a different realm
Eden was in this world.
in this
Yeah,
world, but it
yeah.
was a different realm.
What do you mean?
Meaning, okay, you know there are different dimensions, right? Have you heard of the dimensions?
Uh,
Have you heard of three dimensions?
no, sorry.
Okay, well, anyways, it's scientifically proven fact that there is different dimensions. So, if you are like, if, if you are in a different dimension, you can be on this earth, but you cannot see that world because it's a different dimension. And
Oh, hi. So,
that means that he was in a different realm, meaning because everything that was happening was on this earth, but then it wasn't subject to the physical laws of this world. Do you understand that? So because let's put it this way. I'll make it easier to understand. If it was just like this world, then Adam would have had to work for his food. He would have had some stuff that was good, some bad, and all that. That didn't occur in the Jannah where he was. It was a different realm.
like there was no labor pains and
Yes,
this
there
kind of
was no.
stuff.
Yes, so
Okay.
you're making the same point. Exactly. So that means that he was in a different realm, even though if it was on earth. And I'm saying that because of the presence of God, this that garden was a blessed place by the presence of God, and didn't have the same uh, limits that we have in this world.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my differentiation there. But that heaven was lost because of his action. And that what brings sin, meaning death, to him. Because as long as he was under the protection of God, is another term I use, meaning he was in that Jannah, he was under the protection of God. And then God said, I'm going to get you out of my protection, meaning you'll be separation between you, meaning you're not out from under my
So
protection.
how would Adam sin, in your understanding, if he was under God's protection?
Sorry?
How would Adam sin if he was under God's protection before the fall?
That's a good question. Very nice. Um,
I'm
God
not trying to catch you, but
No, of course not.
so
This is a good
I'm just
question.
trying
This is
to
a good
understand your
question, and I
perspective.
appreciate that question.
Yeah.
So that's a good question because if he was under the protection of God, God gave him a law under that. Now we're talking Bible, okay? So according to the Bible, God told him, "You can do everything here, eat whatever you want, no problem. Just don't eat from here. The day you do, you shall surely die." So God has laid down his, and he's just. So in our that's a very big justice question. Is that if I give you the warning that hey, if you enter this bedroom, you will you will lose your place in this house. You will have to leave. That means that I've forewarned you enough for you to know what the consequences are. Now, anything you do after that is up to you. So he was forewarned of this, and that was his disobedience that he got out of there and then got the sentence of death. And he knew that would have come to him. And the Jewish argument is because Eve persuaded him to do it, and he knew he already ate it, so out of love for her, he did it. That was the argument I was trying to make before. And I find
Oh,
that
okay,
very
interesting.
fascinating,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It sounds kind of interesting.
Is there
And
somewhere I can read more about it, or like
about what?
about Adam having this love for Eve,
Yeah, of
and he
course. I mean,
wanted to?
yeah, it's in the Bible that when he made her, he was just ecstatic that now you have given me the partner that I want.
The
Because
Genesis chapter 2.
yeah, I believe it's there. Yeah.
Okay.
So he loved her dearly. I mean, that was the best thing ever. So he didn't want to lose her. But I don't want to go into that discussion. That's a very Jewish thought. But I think it may or may not have validity. But anyways, the point is that because of Adam's sin, even from the Quran, if you're really going just with the Quran, you have to come to the conclusion God has punished him. If he had forgiven him, he would have let him back into Jannah. That would be forgiveness. If I throw you out of my house, and then you come back and say, look, I'm really sorry, it was a mistake, whatever, and say, okay, I'm going to forgive you, I'll put you back in the house. But that
Yeah,
didn't happen.
I mean, Muslims do believe that did happen,
What?
because God created Adam first to fulfill his purpose, which was to be custodian upon the earth, and then he returns back to God.
No, no, no. Okay, no, that's not what I meant.
Because in the Quran it says that God
Look,
created.
look. If I give you a punishment and you
Yeah.
say sorry, then I'll take the punishment away from you and then let you in, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't. That didn't happen. The punishment remained.
But you're assuming this life is a punishment, but Muslims don't view it in that sense.
No,
We
because
view
no.
this as
That's
a
my point. Is
opportunity or a blessing,
it's a test, right?
a test and also a blessing as well. Like we have an opportunity
Okay, let
to
me.
to
Okay, this is a
grow,
very
to
good point that you
develop,
made. This was a
and to
blessing.
benefit. So even pleasure in this life is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just how you use God's blessings.
Is it more blessed than Jannah? Was Adam, let me rephrase my question. Was Adam more blessed in Jannah than when he was on earth? Which was more blessed situation?
Um, I mean, both had their purposes. So even the Garden of Eden, the purpose was there to educate Adam and to prepare him. And then this had its purpose for Adam to have future generations and to teach them about God.
Thank you for that answer, but it didn't answer my question. I understand you explained to me what that Jannah was. The question again is, was Adam more blessed in Jannah or was he more blessed when
It's
he
a
was
good
out of Jannah?
question. I need to think more about it. So,
I'll let you go. Thank you for your time, man. I
thank you,
love
and
talking to
cool.
you,
Me too. Yeah.
and thank you for sharing your time with us.
Message me if you want any of the references or not, like on WhatsApp and that. Like
Yeah.
for the surah or anything I
Yeah,
said
okay,
on
no
this
problem.
and
And if
that.
you have
So
any
yeah,
question that you want me to,
cool.
give you some more detail, I can
Okay,
do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Hopefully,
All right.
cool.
Thank
Okay,
you very
take it.
much.
Yeah.
Okay.